Welcome back! But seriously, this is Dragonball Discussions episode 2, and today I'm going to be talking about why are Dragon Ball what ifs so interesting. So, let me tell you a little story about how I found out about what ifs and the what if community on Dragon Ball. It was about, I would say, 3 years ago? I'm trying to remember when did Qaamans first upload his what ifs? Well, anyway, it was either 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember I was looking up some topic. I forgot what it was, and I came across Qaamans' channel. And when I found his channel, I saw that the videos he was making was pretty good, but he didn't really have that many subs. So at first, I wasn't, I suppose, as enlightened then on, not judging a channel based on its number of subs. I was questioning whether or not I should sub, because at that point, most of the people I was subbed to were fairly big. But then I decided, what the hey, I'll just sub to his channel because I liked his content. I think at that time he had about 4 or 5 Dragon Ball vids, and I watched all of them, and I was really, really excited for whenever he uploaded the next one. And now there were more than just what if vids. There were, analytical vids, but I would say the what if vids interest me the most. One of the things I like now is that there are more what if channels, at least channels doing what ifs, but I still feel like Qaamans does them the best, because as he said, he's more theoretical than factual, or at least he's the best at doing theoretical type stuff. Because I notice when most people do what ifs, they're usually stupid ones, like, I don't know, what if Bardock went to Earth instead of Goku, or what if Vegeta went to Earth instead of Goku, stuff like that. I mean, they're fun to think about, but let's be honest, you'd have to rewrite the whole story in order to be able to answer those. There's a few reasons why I think that what ifs are so interesting and why they're so, prevalent in the Dragon Ball community at this point. One of the reasons is because, I think if not the biggest reason is because, what ifs offer essentially different stories. So, for example, you can take Episode of Bardock. Episode of Bardock's typically been considered, a official fan fiction by a lot of people, and some people like it, a lot of people don't. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of people like it even now is because it offers some what if possibilities, but a little more official than fan fictions and what if videos. So for instance, they offer possibilities like, what if Bardock became the legendary Super Saiyan that Frieza was talking about, that his ancestors told him about or whatever? And what if he got a chance to kill somebody who was like Frieza, so chilled basically? Stuff like that is very interesting, and it really, even if the story itself isn't that good, it's still exciting because it offers new possibilities. And I think that's where the strength of what if lies mostly, is offering alternatives and new possibilities with the same story, and often with the same characters, because, throwing in new characters and what ifs kind of doesn't make sense. And you'd have to rewrite the story even more. And I would say some of my favorite what if videos from, let's say, Qaamans in particular, since I'm sure most of you are probably aware of him. So some of my favorite what if videos are, for instance, what if Krillin had to kill Vegeta? If you think of all the things that depended on Vegeta surviving, it's very interesting to learn how the story would be different. Like, for example, it's very likely that Gohan and Krillin might not have survived as long as they did without Vegeta. And the funny thing is, they're fan fiction, but even Dragon Ball Multiverse sort of hints at this, because they sort of did do a story of what if the characters had killed Vegeta. And essentially, Krillin was killed by Zarbon. No, wait. Was he killed by Zarbon or do it? Oh, I think he was killed by Zarbon. Or, man, I don't even remember. But basically, Krillin was killed, and by the time the Ginyu Force arrived, it was kind of too late. So That's just one example. There are others too, like what if Raditz never went to Earth? And, what if Piccolo had killed second form Frieza? It's just amazing to think about all the possibilities that would have happened had, one thing happened or not happened. So I really think that's where the strength in what ifs lies, is the differences in possibilities. So another thing that I think about when it comes to what ifs and why they're so popular is the fact that, a lot of people like theory videos, just people sharing their thoughts on certain things in, I guess you could say, a unique way. Because, that's not how the story took place, but somebody's offering their views on how it could have taken place. And, with Kwame in particular, he puts a lot of logic into it so that, if you actually deeply think about it, then you'd realize that based on what has already been pre-established and what's likely to happen, then those courses of action probably would have been taken, although there could have been others taken too. So I think that that's probably another big strength of what ifs and why they're so interesting, because of people's input into them. And another thing about what ifs is, depending on the story and depending on the what if, there could be multiple possibilities. And, at least for an intellectual, that should be very exciting to think about multiple possibilities, and to think about, I guess you could say, something similar to the whole, multiple timeline theory, where basically like you alter one thing in time and it splits off into another timeline, and if you alter something again, it splits off into another timeline, and so on. And, we see this all the time in Marvel and DC, like they'll do alternate stories and what if stories. Like one of the bigger ones right now is Injustice. What if Superman had decided to actually start killing his enemies? Particularly, it starts with him killing the Joker. We see one of the, I'm sure, many possibilities that could have occurred if Superman had decided to take someone's life, even if it were a villain. And, there are other what-if stories that I can recall, such as Marvel Zombies. What if the Marvel cast had been infected with a zombie plague? And I remember seeing this very odd version of Marvel Zombies where it said, Marvel Zombies meet Army of Darkness. Now, I don't think I've read the whole thing, but from what I have read, it is very interesting. Especially to see somebody who I actually am familiar with, because I did watch all of the Evil Dead movies. Granted, I thought the first one was the best. The furthest they went along, the more the movies went on, the worse they became. Particularly the more comedic they became. I wasn't a big fan of that, but I don't know. I guess they wanted to be a little more unique because, there's tons of horror movies that stay horror. But so I think, what ifs is really fun, especially for people that are intellectuals to think about, because you think about so many different possibilities that could have happened if something had occurred and if something hadn't occurred. Sometimes it could be mind-blowing, like how many differences could have occurred if certain things had changed. And I really think that, that's another thing about what ifs that I think a lot of people like. They realize just how intricate and how connected the story is. Because like I said before, if you take one thing and make it different, then it could change the entire course of the story. It's kind of like if you made things different in history. A lot of people talk about what if World War II didn't happen. As horrible as World War II is, I'm pretty sure that it led to a lot of positives and certain people being born and whatnot. So if World War II hadn't have happened, there's perhaps a lot of bad things that might have happened, even if a lot of good happened as well. There's a What If History channel that I'm subscribed to currently called Alternate History Hub, and they basically deal with what ifs in history. And I really like those because, again, it offers different possibilities on what could have happened. And I really think that that one of the reasons why I've stayed with them compared to, let's say, just history channels is because they're doing something different, and they're doing something based on factual evidence, but forming theories around how things could have been different based on, a lot of quantifiable variables. So, I don't know about most of you, but I actually find that stuff very interesting, being an intellectual myself. because while I do like factual things, I also like theoretical things as well because they're based on facts, but they're based on things that may or may not have happened, but you acknowledge that they may or may not have happened, so you're not just going out there claiming that you're right when you really aren't, and when there's maybe is or is enough, is or is not enough evidence to support your claims. Although usually there is, but still, like, that's the thing about what ifs. Like, there's no way to determine if you're completely right, just if you sound right based on the information given. Is that the reason why you like Qaamans so much? Because that's the reason why I do. Like, I like his videos in general, but his what ifs are pretty much the cornerstone of his YouTube channel, because his what if videos are definitely the most interesting because of all these theoretical aspects, and if you take certain things and change them, they could lead to stuff that's way, way different. Sometimes for the good, better, and sometimes for the worse. In fact, you'll notice that oftentimes when you change certain things, it'll be for the worse, actually. But, I may talk about that at some other point. Well, anyway, that's been my video and my second episode of Dragonball Discussions. So like I said before, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Well, anyway, that's been my video and my second episode of Dragonball Discussions. So like I said before, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later.